to deal with, though? I mean, what's it like? How much pressure does it put on your staff?
There is
to have it as to the extent that it is.
It is. Spring now, spring football is where a lot of that foundation is laid so far as transcript and real time and energy. I think is more so in the spring than it is in the fall. The fall is just a matter of I'm trying to coach my football team, and I'm all about yours getting better, but we got to get and that's the balance that I think is the toughest. Is we want our kids to get recruited, but they're getting recruited because of what they're doing on the field. So how much time are we spending here? And the good part is these recruiters are coaches, so they do understand that we got a job to do. Let me go do my job, and so I just threw them out. But normally what we do is we make a packet, and we put every kid's transcript. We put a recruiting calendar on there. We'll put our kids' contact information, so it's simply here. Here's the ones that you're probably looking for. And of course, that's different from Ohio State to Ohio to Mount Union, and what level that they're playing and who they have a legitimate shot at recruiting, and then of course what they're looking for. And so that's a job. It certainly is, and just to make sure that we're doing these kids justice in terms of getting their information out there and getting them a legitimate shot to get to the next level.
Now, Ohio State has offered scholarships to players on this team,
correct,
but I don't know how seriously they actually come in and recruit because of your location.
Right.
How much do you think a national championship and winning it in this state might help if they wanted to be more serious about being in this area?
Well, I think their point was getting on kids early, and that's kind of where I think that's doing what they're doing now. I think is going to pay more dividends than even a national championship, just because of the sheer distance, of where that school is. And frankly, a lot of these kids know nothing about it, And that was when they came down. I grew up in Detroit, so I know all about Ohio State football. And to me, that was the Michigan, Ohio State. That was the gold standard of football during that era. And to come down here and see kids, it's just kind of like Ohio State. Where is that? Is that on the West Coast? It doesn't register to them. So I think certainly, especially with the pounding the Big Ten has taken in the media in the recent years, so far as the bowl success and what's going on, for them to get that national championship, I think has put them on the map. Where these guys are now paying attention to and seeing what kind of a program that truly is. And the reality is, if they can get them on campus, it sells itself. They just, these kids, it's about getting them there. And I think in order to get them there, they have to do what they're doing. They're getting on these guys early, and their coach that came down to recruit here kind of made that point. If we're going to get a kid to Ohio State, we got to get on them early.
Was that Tom Herman?
No, Tom actually didn't recruit here, ironically enough. It was Combs.
Kerry Combs.
Yeah.
When was he here?
Spring.
Okay.
Spring. He was here, in fact, on our first day of spring, and I enjoyed talking to him because he's got a high school coaching background up in Ohio, and so that was a good talk, and for him to come down here and watch our spring and watch what we're doing, and he came and talked to our staff, which I thought was a first-class move on his part, and talked to a couple of kids that they extended some offers to, and so I think that's what it's going to be about in terms of getting kids this far away to go up north and take a look. Now, we sent a kid this year to Minnesota. He actually went to the Ohio State-Minnesota game when he was on campus, and he fell in love with it. But it was just a matter of go up there, take a look at it, and see what it has to offer.
Can Ohio State come in here and pull a kid, you think?
No question. Yeah, no question. I think between Coach Urban Meyer and his pedigree that he's bringing to the table, once they understand who he is, and obviously the facilities, and now with the success, I think they could come in here and go head-to-head with just about anybody, even these in-state schools.
How hard is it to get those kids to get there? Because a lot of the officials don't start till senior year.
Right.
So how much of a battle? And I think that's part of the problem is that you mentioned that it's about getting in early.
Right. Well, it's it's virtually impossible for these guys, unless they're going to go run the camp circuit. But a lot of our kids can't afford that. They're not going to, have a plane ticket and fly up to Ohio State just to go to a camp, even if there's going to be an offer possibly extended to them. It's just financially, it's not possible. So, we've had some kids do that where they went up there and that's kind of was their vacation and went to Notre Dame and Ohio State and to Michigan and take. But the reality is for them to say, well, why don't I just go to Texas A&M, and LSU? And I don't have to leave home, and that's a high grade. It's just it's geography, more than anything. So that's the tough part, unless they're going to start a early signing period like they do in basketball, and they have an option to bring them up in the spring, which I don't think would be a bad deal at all with the way the recruiting is so crazy now. I don't know that's an option for a lot of our kids.